What is going on, everyone? It's Jay from Trader X here. Hope you all had an amazing weekend, and let's jump right into another day trading recap. So, today is currently August 15th, 2022, and this is how the Nasdaq looked on the day today. This was right around when the market opened up at 6:30 in the morning, right around this area. And as you guys can see, the first couple hours, NQ really was a bit choppy and tried to find its direction. It tried uptrending, and then it kept right after that getting rejected off the top VWAP, and then it would fall all the way down. It even made a lower low than it previously did right around here. Ultimately ended up though catching a support around this area and ended up rallying on the day and just trading between this general area right around here for the rest of the day. So it did have a nice rally on the day, and I want to go ahead and quickly show you guys how I did on the day. I was down just under $34 today. It was a red day, but I'm very happy with how I was able to keep my loss pretty small. And here are all my filled orders, 36 of them. So as you guys can tell, I did take a lot of trades today, but I want to just go ahead and share with you guys the most important trades of the day. I thought that I definitely got the most out of because there's no point in going through every exact little trade, right? I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys the ones I thought are worth kind of reflecting on and reviewing. And first, let me just talk about the Nasdaq and where it's at. So if we look at it on the bigger picture, this is a 5-day 5-minute. Today, NQ, the Nasdaq was able to rally on a day, and what led it to rally was basically that it has consistently been bullish, right? It's been pushing up around the past 2 to 3 weeks, but not only that, it's been validating this consistent pattern where it's constantly making these higher lows and these higher highs right around here. So, meaning anytime it would push up and kind of start rallying when it did come back down, the lows it had here were not as low as the ones it previously had, right? And when it starts going again, the highs it makes are even higher than the ones it previously had, right? Right around these levels. So that's what I mean when I say higher highs and higher lows. And that's basically an indication when you see higher highs and higher lows that something is uptrending. And if you look at the Nasdaq on the even bigger time frame, this is the 180 day, so it's just right around half a year. You can see that it has consistently also on the bigger time frames been validating this pattern too, which a lot of people have been seeing. Right around here, it crossed the SMA line. This was around a month ago, came back down a bit, but it has been validating these higher lows and pushing for higher highs continuously. And today was no different. There was some chop like the first couple hours, but it did end up just following that same type of pattern. So being able to identify these patterns can definitely play a big factor into how you're able to determine where the market wants to go and maybe what you should focus on paying attention to for that day. So when the market opened up, I did end up, I started off taking multiple losing trades because the market, like I said, it did want to identify a clear forward direction. So when the market wanted to push up, I would buy into TQs. I would average up as it kept going. And I was looking for a big kind of play like it did end up happening later here, this kind of breakout for a break above the top VWAP so it can hold and just continuously keep this pattern, right, of higher highs and higher lows. Unfortunately, I didn't get that, so when I averaged up, it ended up coming back down. I got flushed out, and I basically ended up trading SQs2 because right around here, I still don't know where the market is going to move on the day, right? It looked like it wanted to come up, but then it got rejected up here, came all the way down, and the lows it had here were even lower than the ones it previously had. So I was thinking to myself, looks like this could maybe be a SQs day now because it's now trending below the middle VWAP, this purple line here, and it's starting to fall. But it did ultimately hold above this green SMA line here, and it was able to validate it as a support to kind of bounce off here and go for these higher highs. And as you'll notice, this is kind of the period when it starts trading between here, the Nasdaq, where it wants to identify direction for the day. It very easily could have came up here too, made a lower high, and continuously kept selling off. But if you pay attention to the fact that when it kept trending up, it broke above this previous resistance right here where it got rejected earlier. And once it broke that, that's a good indication that it is going to start uptrending on the day. because it was able to break the levels where it previously couldn't, and now it is continuously making these higher highs, right? And the higher lows. It's a very good indication, in my opinion, when there's a break of resistance that the Nasdaq could start moving on a day and really going and trying to keep up these consistent patterns. So that's the type of play you could have looked out for. And as you see here, when it broke above, it did push, it went, came back down a little, but ultimately did end up rallying, right? It did end up going just like we could have predicted happening if it did break this resistance area. So where I went wrong today was taking multiple losing trades when the direction wasn't so clear. When I tried taking a TQ's play and averaged up and I saw it wanted to get rejected and fall hard, and maybe that should have been my indication that I shouldn't just get into another trade right after that, right? Because I need to be real with myself. I still don't know if the market is gonna fall or go up. It appears like it was falling then, and I looked again to SQs, and because I did that, I ended up getting burned because it just bounced here again, right? It's kind of just toying with you, and it's not until it breaks either this kind of clear support or this resistance up here where I feel comfortable with where I feel comfortable that I did identify direction properly and I would want to get in. These are the areas you should ideally look to trade, in my opinion, when direction is clear, and that's when it either has a clear break above the top VWAP and wants to go, or a clear sell-off break below the middle VWAP, bottom VWAP even, and it keeps wanting to fall, right? Because right around these levels, if I try taking one, I can't tell if it's gonna just push up or just keep falling, right? It's kind of basically gambling at that point, and I don't like to gamble. I want to make sure every trade I take, I have some sort of edge. And if I feel I can't predict direction at all, then I'd say that's gambling. And I just decided to cool off. I was down like $40 to $50 on the day, and I ended up making a bit of it back on my last trade. As you can see here, my last trade with TQs was the one I wanted to show you. Right around this level, this one in specific, when I bought in with a quarter, averaged up, and then sold these for a nice little profit because my thought process basically was it was right around here when I decided to take one last play for TQs, and it ended up being a nice winning trade for me, a nice little winning trade that ended up allowing me to be down only $33 because I viewed the same pattern where it wanted to keep validating this support kind of right around here, right? Anytime NQ would fall around these areas, it would tend to push up, kind of identifying the highs and the lows of the day. So I decided to take a position right around this area, an original one when the Nasdaq was falling, because I saw this was a common area that it would tend to bounce, right? Very easily I could have bought in, it could have continued selling off, and I would have just cut it. That's why I only buy in with a quarter of my position size first so I can manage my risk. But I bought in with a quarter, maybe it fell a little more, but because I only bought in with a quarter, I wasn't sweating it. And it did end up bouncing. I fully averaged up at the break above this area right around here. When I saw that it wanted to break here and not continue this continuous kind of lower high it was forming right here, right? It went all the way up here, fell, came back up, only went up to here, not as high, fell, right? It just continuously was making these lower highs right around here. So when it broke this area, that was a good sign for me that I should maybe look to get in to TQs, right? Fully average in, because if it broke this, it could definitely have some room to keep going. I didn't know where that room could have been, which is why I did end up cutting it a little short. I averaged up here and ended up cutting the TQ's play right around like here at 13,590 because I saw potential for it to still form lower highs like that, right? Consistent lower highs. But because well, that's why I wanted to sell there. It'd be a smart point for me to sell because there's a good chance it could still form these lower highs, right? And get rejected, which it tried to. But ultimately, once it broke this area, this resistance here too, it looked good to go to start climbing. And then once it broke this top VWAP and this resistance here, there was no more resistance kind of it would struggle with really. So that's kind of what basically started to have it kind of soar, come back down a little, but did catch its support and just ended up soaring higher to past 13,700 on the day. So yeah, I just wanted to go through and share that trade with you because I could have very easily here when I decided to cut it. I had two options. I could have let this continuously run and just try holding there and hoping for kind of this break of the lower highs. And I did miss out because I sold early on another. This play would have made me like another 150, $160 if I sold up here. But I did want to just explain to you guys that I did sell because it did form a lower high, and it was forming them, and it had potential definitely to do it again. I didn't want to get greedy because I was down, so I sold. But you always have the option to kind of let something else play out like that. If I was green on the day already and I took that play, I definitely would have looked to just let it run instead because I wouldn't have the pressure to lock in profits because I wouldn't be down on the day. And I could have hit a play like this, but I'm really trying to make myself be more patient with trades and letting them play out fully so that the risk to reward is really worth it because like I said before, I only cut it here because I was red on a day already, but and I wanted to kind of secure some profits and manage it. But if I'm ever green on the day, I'm gonna really try and get in the habit of trying to maximize my green days because I feel like I always cut them short. If I'm up like $80 when the morning starts, I usually look to call it, but I want to look to start trading more after that and really just being able to exceed my goals and expectations and things like that. I think with allowing myself to have bigger green days, I will be able to not care as much for the red days I have because the risk to reward will be amazing and worth it. So that's just it, guys. A bit of a longer recap. I did ramble on a bit, but I really hope you guys found some value in it. I just want to share with you guys kind of direction the Nasdaq is at and what could lead you to think about what trade to take and where direction is going on today. So thank you guys all so much for watching. It's been another day trading recap and definitely excited for the rest of the week. And I hope you guys will all tune into with me and just watch the rest of the week. So yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching and have a good one.